The Cold War wasn't just fought with spies and missiles, it raged across the cosmos, with both superpowers secretly racing to conquer Mars. While NASA's missions dominated headlines, the Soviet Union conducted over a dozen classified Mars expeditions that vanished from official records. These weren't publicity stunts but, genuine attempts to reach another world, hidden behind layers of government secrecy. One Soviet probe actually accomplished what took NASA decades to achieve: a successful soft landing on the Martian surface. Tonight we're exposing the buried truth about humanity's first secret war with Mars.
The shadow race begins.
The year 1960 marked the beginning of humanity's most secretive space race. Soviet engineers took their R-7 ICBM, originally designed to deliver nuclear warheads to American cities, and quietly modified it for an unprecedented mission reaching Mars. Mars, 1960. A became the first interplanetary launch attempt in human history on October 10, 1960. The massive rocket roared to life at Baikonur Cosmodrome, carrying a small probe across 190 million miles of space. But just seconds after liftoff, everything went catastrophically wrong. The rocket lost control, veered off course, and the self-destruct command was triggered almost immediately. The explosion lit up the Kazakh steppes, but to the outside world, it was just another routine launch. 4 days later, they tried again with Mars 1960B. This time, the rocket reached orbit before the upper stage failed, leaving the probe stranded. Within hours, it burned up during re-entry, becoming Cosmos 60 in official records. These first attempts established a pattern of ambitious goals and spectacular failures that would define the Soviet Mars program for the next decade.
The propaganda machine.
Failure in the Soviet Union wasn't just embarrassing, it was politically dangerous and potentially career-ending for the engineers involved. Every Mars mission that exploded, crashed, or vanished was immediately reclassified under the generic Cosmos program, a catch-all designation for Earth-orbiting satellites. This brilliant deception allowed Soviet officials to sweep their Mars disasters under the rug while maintaining their image of technological superiority during the height of the Cold War. When Western analysts later examined launch records, they discovered dozens of suspicious gaps and unexplained mission designations that didn't match orbital patterns. The 2MV spacecraft family, designed specifically for Mars exploration, officially never existed in Soviet documentation. Engineers worked around the clock on these phantom projects, building cutting-edge technology that would be denied if it failed and buried if it succeeded. The secrecy was so complete that even today some mission details remain classified in Russian archives. This shadow war of information meant that every Soviet victory or defeat at Mars happened in complete silence, with only a select few knowing the true scope of their interplanetary ambitions and the massive resources being poured into conquering the Red Planet.
Mars 1, the pioneer that vanished.
November 1, 1962 witnessed something extraordinary. The first spacecraft to successfully leave Earth's gravitational influence and head toward Mars. Mars 1 wasn't just another failed experiment, it was a technological marvel that proved interplanetary travel was genuinely possible for human civilization. The probe carried sophisticated instruments including a magnetometer, radiation detectors, and sensors designed to sniff out water vapor in the thin Martian atmosphere. For 106 million miles, Mars 1 coasted through the cosmic void, sending back 61 successful transmissions about the hostile radiation environment of deep space. Soviet engineers monitored its progress with growing excitement as their creation approached the Red Planet, becoming humanity's first ambassador to another world. Then, on March 21, 1963, just as Mars came into view through the probe's instruments, all contact was lost forever. The most likely culprit was a gas leak in the attitude control system, causing the spacecraft to tumble and lose antenna alignment with Earth. Mars 1 probably drifted past its target, becoming humanity's first artificial comet, forever sailing through interplanetary space in eternal silence, carrying Soviet technology into the cosmic deep where it remains today.
The advanced fleet.
By the mid-1960s, Soviet spacecraft had evolved into genuine interplanetary explorers equipped with cutting-edge technology that, honestly, rivaled anything the Americans were developing. Zond 2, which launched in late 1964, really represented the pinnacle of Soviet engineering with its 6 experimental plasma thrusters and an infrared spectrometer capable of detecting vegetation signatures on Mars from millions of miles away. The mission flew toward Mars for nearly 6 months before, yet again, another heartbreaking communication failure ended the dream just as success seemed within reach. The probe missed Mars by approximately 1,000 miles, agonizingly close to photographic history and scientific breakthrough. But behind the scenes at Baikonur, something much bigger was brewing in the assembly halls. Soviet engineers had learned from each failure and were designing their most ambitious project yet, Mars 1969A and Mars 1969B. These weren't just small scientific probes but massive spacecraft, about the size of small buses, loaded with advanced imaging equipment, surface scanners, and long-range communication systems. One was designed to orbit Mars, while the other would attempt the first soft landing in history. The Proton K rocket, standing 190 feet tall and generating over 2.4 million pounds of thrust, would carry these technological monsters across the solar system to humanity's first real attempt at conquering another world.
The Great Explosions.
March 27, 1969 should have been the Soviet Union's greatest space triumph and honestly a defining moment in human history. Instead, it became their most spectacular disaster, one that would haunt the program for years. Mars, 1969. A sat atop the massive Proton K rocket, ready to make history as the first orbiter-lander combination to reach Mars and establish permanent contact with another planet. The countdown hit 0. Engines roared to life with tremendous force, and then just seconds after liftoff, the entire launch vehicle erupted into a fireball visible for miles across the Kazakh steppes. The explosion was so massive it shattered windows in nearby villages and sent flaming debris hurtling across the launch complex, destroying equipment worth millions of rubles. Everything, the probe, the rocket, the launch tower, was obliterated in one of the largest launch failures in Soviet history. 5 days later, Mars 1969. B met an equally catastrophic fate when its upper stage failed during separation, sending the precious payload tumbling back into Earth's atmosphere, where it burned up completely. 2 multi-million-dollar missions with years of planning and the hopes of an entire nation, all gone in less than a week. The Soviet Union buried these disasters so completely that Western intelligence agencies didn't learn about them for decades.
The Historic Touchdown.
November 27, 1971 marked a pivotal moment in human history, though honestly, almost nobody on Earth knew it was happening at the time. Mars 2 screamed into the Martian atmosphere at over 13,000 miles per hour, becoming the first human-made object to physically touch another planet's surface in the history of our species. The landing wasn't gentle, the parachute system failed catastrophically, and the probe slammed into Mars at high speed, creating humanity's first interplanetary crater somewhere in the southern hemisphere. But just days later, Mars 3 achieved something truly extraordinary that changed everything. On December 2nd, its complex landing systems worked exactly as designed. Parachutes deployed properly, retro rockets fired on schedule, and the lander made a controlled descent through a raging planet-wide dust storm that had been building for weeks. For exactly 14.5 seconds, clear signals transmitted from the Martian surface, the first successful soft landing in human history. The probe even managed to transmit one blurry, static-filled image of the alien landscape before a massive dust storm likely short-circuited its delicate electronics forever. Hidden within the lander was Prop M, a small rover about the size of a lunchbox, designed to waddle across Mars on metal skis. The rover was never deployed, and it remains buried somewhere in Martian dust today.
The Lost Archives.
The true scope of the Soviet Mars program remains one of space exploration's greatest mysteries, with crucial details still hidden in classified government archives. Declassified documents suggest at least 6 additional probes were launched under undisclosed designations, hidden within the Cosmos and Zond programs, to maintain complete secrecy about their true interplanetary missions. Some may have reached orbit successfully, others failed spectacularly at launch, and some may have been destroyed intentionally to prevent enemy intelligence gathering during the height of Cold War paranoia. Soviet archives from this era contain massive gaps, missing files, and heavily redacted mission reports that researchers are still trying to piece together decades later. Unlike American failures that were broadcast on live television for the world to see, Soviet disasters happened in complete silence behind the Iron Curtain. Engineers worked behind closed doors in windowless facilities, Failure reports were immediately classified at the highest levels, and successful missions were often denied until decades later when political climates changed. This means we may never know the complete story of humanity's first attempts to reach Mars. The secrecy was so pervasive that even today, Russian space historians discover previously unknown missions in forgotten archive boxes, each one adding new chapters to this hidden history of interplanetary exploration and Cold War competition. The earthquake discovery. Modern Mars exploration has revealed something the Soviets never could have imagined in their wildest scientific dreams. The red planet is geologically active with a beating heart. Since 2018, NASA's InSight spacecraft has detected over 1,300 Marsquakes using its incredibly sensitive seismometer that can detect ground movements smaller than the width of an atom. The strongest tremor, recorded in August 2021, reached magnitude 4.2, powerful enough to damage buildings and crack foundations on Earth. An even more powerful magnitude 5 tremor struck in May 2022, demonstrating that Mars isn't the dead, frozen world scientists once believed it to be. These aren't random vibrations but organized seismic events caused by tectonic movements and magma flows deep beneath the Martian surface, indicating active geological processes. Underground magma movements bend the planet's single lithospheric plate, creating earthquake-like tremors that ripple across the entire planet like waves in a cosmic ocean. This geological activity has profound implications for potential life, as it suggests heat sources and chemical processes that could support microorganisms in Mars's depths. The Soviets dreamed of studying Mars's surface, but they never realized they were targeting a world with an active, beating geological heart hidden far below the dusty exterior that continues pulsing today.
The underground ocean.
The most stunning discovery about Mars came in 2018, when Mars Express radar detected a massive underground lake beneath the planet's southern ice cap that rivals some of Earth's largest water bodies. This isn't a small pocket of water, but a vast reservoir spanning over 75,000 square kilometers, larger than many countries, and containing more water than some Earth nations use in decades. 3 additional bodies of water were found nearby, creating an interconnected underground ocean system that dwarfs anything the Soviet missions could have detected from the surface with their 1970s technology. In 2022, the ExoMars orbiter revealed even more water hidden in Valles Marineris, the massive canyon system running along Mars' equator like a planetary scar. This water covers an area the size of the Netherlands and sits just 3 feet beneath the surface, tantalizingly close to any future human explorers. On Earth, similar subglacial lakes in Antarctica contain microbes, fish, and other organisms thriving in complete darkness for millions of years. The Martian water may be extremely salty, potentially 20 times saltier than Earth's oceans, which would keep it liquid even in Mars' freezing temperatures that average minus 80 degrees Fahrenheit. These discoveries mean that Soviet landers may have been sitting directly on top of vast underground seas, completely unaware of the alien ocean world flowing beneath their landing pads.
The future Soviet legacy.
Every Soviet failure at Mars taught humanity crucial lessons about interplanetary exploration that directly benefit modern space missions today. Their pioneering work with atmospheric entry, parachute systems, and landing technology became the foundation for current Mars missions, proving that failure can be just as valuable as success in advancing human knowledge. NASA's Perseverance rover, which has discovered organic molecules in Jezero crater and continues making groundbreaking discoveries, landed using refined versions of heat shield and parachute techniques the Soviets attempted in 1971. The MOXIE experiment aboard Perseverance successfully converts Martian carbon dioxide into breathable oxygen at a rate of 5.4 grams per hour, exactly what Soviet engineers dreamed of achieving for future human missions. SpaceX CEO Elon Musk plans to land the first crewed mission on Mars by 2029, using Starship spacecraft powered by 14 Raptor engines capable of carrying 100 tons to the Martian surface. The proposed landing site is Valles Marineris, the same massive canyon system where Soviet orbiters first photographed the mysterious geological formations that we now know contain vast water reserves. When humans finally walk on Mars, they'll be fulfilling the ultimate goal of those secret Soviet missions, proving that Earth life can survive and thrive on another world, completing a journey that began in secrecy over 60 years ago behind the Iron Curtain. So there you have it. the secret Soviet Mars program that almost conquered the Red Planet decades before anyone else. Which part shocked you the most about these hidden missions? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed uncovering this buried space history, make sure to like this video, share it with someone who loves real space exploration stories, and don't forget to subscribe to Sci and Y for more declassified discoveries about our incredible universe. Until next time, keep questioning the official story and keep exploring the truth behind the headlines.